Hello, and we are Geeks Assembled, and we've got a small gathering here today. Going to be talking a 1966 small animation feature, 25 minutes long it is. Um, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. If I think everybody knows the story, Dr. Seuss, um, and it's narrated by Boris Karloff himself. So we'll just go around this little gathering here and we'll see what their opening thoughts are on this little animated, shall we say, festive gem. So we'll go to Stephen Price first. What's your opening thoughts on this cartoon?
I enjoyed it. I didn't I've seen it many years ago, and I forgot it was done by Boris Karloff. Well, and I watched it this afternoon. His voice is brilliant, and his commentary on it. Yeah, I did enjoy the cartoon. I can vaguely remember it as a kid watching it.
Yeah,
You know, but it's very festive
yeah.
and all that. You like.
It was. I think it was so festive, isn't it, Stephen? That after that you went and watched Scrooge.
Yes, I'm because the cast started. I was on the part where the ghost opens the door,
Yeah,
and I'm
and
watching
you see,
the black and white version.
oh,
Not
yeah,
I got the coloured one. I got the black and white one, but I prefer the black and white one. They ruin it when they put it in colour.
yeah, that's see. This is what the Grinch and Scrooge. Yeah. But yeah, it's what should I say? Everybody knows. These days everybody knows the Jim Carrey version. The film, and now there's a newer version out with what's it? Cumberbatch doing the voice. But as I said, this is sort of the original from the 1960s. So we'll go to the love seat. Susan and Alex.
You start.
Well, yeah, this is one of the classics. I think there's about four American Christmas specials. I'm not sure about the British Christmas specials, but it's this one, Charlie Brown Christmas, Frosty the Snowman, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and they're all from the 60s. It is kind of interesting how the Charlie Brown and the Grinch were sort of promoting a lot of having stuff, but not in the store. So I don't know if they have a homemade factory that they that they both have. I mean, I understand that there's commercialism, but and of course they had to pay for those specials, so it's kind of ironic that they're preaching, bounty, but not commercialism. But they're still pretty sweet, and they're famous. And of course, I saw it on TV when they had commercials, and they didn't have the internet, and they didn't have video. And then, of course, there's also video versions that are horrific, that they messed up the print, or they edited something out, or you get to see a version of the Grinch and he's yellow instead of green because the print is so bad. Um, but like I said, it's one of the American classics, and there's very few Christmas specials in America that are actually very good, except for maybe what's the other one? The Sesame Street one. There's a Barney Miller one. There's a couple other shows that were just as good later on. And of course, there's the WKRP version with the turkeys dropping out of the sky, which is very popular. But getting back to the Grinch, yeah, this is a really good version when it's done correctly, when it has the right print. And to me, there's no need for a Jim Carrey or Cumberbatch version because it's not that long a story that you need five different versions of it anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of funny how it's, sort of it feels a little bit like anti Mary Poppins, and then it goes to Mary Poppins sort of at the end. So it's kind of funny how it's, playing both sides of the coin at the same time. But it has a sweet ending, so it keeps in line with the Christmas special. Aww. So.
And here I thought he was going to be Grinchy. No, I'm just kidding. None of us are Grinchy on this. Our little green Grinch is not here today. I so enjoy this this story. I love Dr. Seuss. I love his rhyming. I love his meter. He's got a specific meter that is to his poetry that is not. It's not a classical meter. It's like his own design, and for someone who enjoys, other poetry and other style of writing, he is amazing, and I appreciate the story. The Whoville is just this darling little community. I used to live in a trailer park by the river, and when it snowed, it looked a bit like Whoville. All these little homes down by the river, all these little poor people out, sharing what they got and, hanging out together. It was a little bit like Whoville. When they stretch up to the mountain peak, there's no way a Grinch could live in that little bitty teeny tiny hole at the top of the mountain. It's a little bigger on the inside anyway. So, but he subsisted, and then he was changed by the singing that he so despised, which, it never happens in real life. When you hate something really bad and then you hear it again and again and again, there isn't a point where it just turns into something that you like. So that was magic. And it was the magic of that little thing in the middle of the little circle, floating up in the sky, attaching itself to everything else in the whole vicinity. It was that Christmas spirit. And that was really amazing. And the Grinch's heart grew, which from a physiological point of view could mean that he's experiencing heart disease. But, when you grow, when your heart grows, your emotions get bigger and your experience gets bigger. A different kind of heart. But, you know what I'm saying. The Grinch, turned around, and even though he'd done nothing with all of his booty, all of that sleigh full of things, he didn't do a dang thing with it, He just wheeled it around on the top of that peak and brought it right back down. I guess that was like a Herculean effort and futility for poor old Grinch. And poor old Grinch's little dog, Max. I mean, he first of all, he's saddled with an antler, which is entirely too big for him to even handle it. It tips over, and his little legs go up in the air, and then he's forced to, drive this sleigh, or actually be run over by this sleigh 12 or 13 times or whatever. It was just a poor Max. You get to feeling for Max a lot in this story. That is one long-suffering, faithful, loyal puppy. So yeah, I feel really good about Max. Max really, it's actually Max's story about how he used to be abused and now he probably won't be. So, I mean, in some ways, that's a really good thing. But the Grinch who stole Christmas, he didn't actually steal it. He just kind of borrowed it for a few minutes and then brought it right back. Poor old Grinch, you know, he couldn't even get that sorted. He tried to steal it, but it just, you know, it went up the hill, up the mountain, and then right back down the mountain. But without the mountain there, I mean, it wouldn't be much of a story. If he just like drove it like in North Dakota across a really long plain, or you know, if Whoville was on the edge of a desert and he drove it and got stuck in a dune, you know, somewhere. You know, these are possibilities that exist. But, you know, the Grinch lived by Whoville, and Whoville was by the mountain. And I'm going back to Montana this Christmas. So I might be nearby Whoville again. And definitely at the foot of the mountains. And if I look up and I see somebody green looking down at me with a little puppy dog with an antler stuck to his head, I'll know what I'm experiencing. And I'll feel sorry for Max. But then I'll also feel sorry for the Grinch. Because he ain't going to steal my Christmas. I'm bringing Alex too. There's no way he's going to steal Christmas.
Oh, dear me. This is why we love Seuss. What can I say after that? It is, for a 25-minute animated feature, it does the job so well. You know, Boris Karloff's voice suits the Grinch so well. You know, the way he tells the story. And I agree with what Susan says about Dr. Seuss. The way he plays with words, the way he creates his own language. I mean, I've always been a fan of his books. When I was younger, I always used to read them. It didn't take much to read, but it was just wonderful to read along the words and the wonderful illustrations in the books. But it, to me, I agree with what Alex says. You don't need Carey and you don't need Cumberbatch when a 25-minute cartoon tells the same story what they tell in 90 minutes to 2 hours long, which I think is a lot of padding, to be honest. But yeah, it's just the spirit of love and Christmas. You know, the Grinch's heart grew 3 times big. It is a very good tale. Even the music, there's a couple of musical numbers in it. I mean, You're a Bad One, Mr. Grinch. I just love that. You know, that appears several times. In 25 minutes, there is quite a bit of music in this. But what, as Susan said, once you hear a song, you know, you either can go either way. You either absolutely fall in love with this song, or it can become an earworm all day, all long. But yeah, it is good. It does its job. For 1966, the animation as well, you can see the animation is dated to that era. Is it Tex Avery and all like that? You can tell who, you know, what studios have done this. And it's a brilliant piece of work. And I agree, Max does steal the show for most of it. The looks it gives to camera, the way it goes under the sledge, you know, where he runs and goes into the side of the snow and his butt sticking out. But yeah, it's a fun little thing. It's very festive. It's on TV every year. It is on TV every year over here in the UK. And as I said, Alex said, it's over there in America. It's you know, comes with a bit of an institution over there. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. So I've said my favourite little bits. Is there any favourite bits? What you guys like? We'll go in reverse. Susan, over to you.
I enjoy the bit where the Max has to catch these huge bags of loot, and poor guy gets just pummeled down and stuck in the snow. I mean, these are great big huge bags.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you like the narration, you like the songs, got a lot of character. Like I said, they did edit out some stuff depending on which version you've seen. Um, and they will play the Grinch on CBS this year. It has moved around depending on how much the networks want to shell out for this. But considering that I mean, back then too, you didn't have to spend $1 million for everything, or even 5 million. So yeah, I mean, there's very few other Christmas specials that have as much staying power, and they're not as fondly remembered as this one and the Charlie Brown Christmas one as well. They've tried, but it's very difficult, and then you have the other attempts at it. But like I said, this is the best because it's simple, but it's different. But they put music in it, and it's not super high pitched until you hear the citizens of Whoville, which is also funny that they chose that as well. But yeah, this was one of the few Dr. Seuss who came from Massachusetts as well.
Oh yeah.
Also, there's very few other versions, and of course, there was a Cat in the Hat movie, I think, too, with Jim Carrey for some strange reason. But I'd rather watch the cartoon versions. But yeah, it's good that it's still around. I used to listen to it with the book and the record playing on the record player, and the narration was just as good as the Grinch, if not better. And I remember the sleep book, which was another one that was very funny. And they sort of went through alphabetical and all that. So if you like the wordplay, which most people do, if you like the wordplay, if you like the fact that he could always create a world where everybody had lots of hair and lots of curly toes and lots of wordplay and all that, and then the green eggs and ham. So you've got, just like Schultz, and this is Seuss. They had a whole universe where
he's wearing Schultz.
yeah, where it was from the 1950s to now, it's still very much liked, and there's not much competition because it's too modern now.
Yeah.
Too much computers and cell phones and things like that, and you want to have real character development, and that's what you have with even this story, even though, like I said, it has the typical happy ending. But then again, it's not the 70s either, so you have to have a happy ending. But yeah, like I said, it's good. Even the bad versions on the VCR were actually funny in a way, where the Grinch was yellow. I don't know how I guess they kept a copy too long. That happened before the internet and before computers. Is that some of the copies were bad? They were washed out. If you had a VCR tape that was around a little too long, you'd start to lose the color, and everything would be faded and white, and there'd be almost no color in it. So, but I guess we can have, as long as they do the restoration and they don't colorize everything in neon and they don't have all that. I guess the only other ones they have now are the Laurel and Hardy March of the Wooden Soldiers, and what's the other thing?
They did the Lorax, which was in bright colors.
That was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the other thing, that's the other thing too that we will have even in this state, is we will have the Thanksgiving Day Parade with NBC, which is part musical numbers out on the street, and then they will have interviews, and they will have promos from all the TV shows with all the stars saying, Happy Holidays, Hanukkah, et cetera, et cetera. And then they will have, CBS will have another version, which is actually less balloons, so you don't have Snoopy and Santa Claus and all that.
CBS is from
yeah,
Massachusetts.
Well,
the other one's from New York.
Okay, but what I'm saying is they will have more musicals and more musical numbers, so they will do new musicals. So if you're dying to find out in 2 hours what Thanksgiving will have, you have one with the Macy's, with all the
In New
famous
York.
people and the rappers and all that. So that's part musical with balloons and Santa Claus at the end. And then you will have the CBS version, which is more happy holidays. Well, okay, some of it is. They will have more musical, almost like they're giving you a tour of, musical numbers, and then they will show some of these. They'll show more of the streets. They don't show the parade. They don't show the balloons, which is very ironic. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of any recent good Christmas specials. They will have big blockbuster shows that will have a Christmas episode, but except for Doctor Who and maybe two other shows, Big Bang Theory, there's not too many other TV series that even attempt to do a lot of Christmas shows right now, because there's been a lot of.
Seinfeld, Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah, you have Seinfeld. Well, I didn't watch that show if I could help it,
All
so
right.
that doesn't apply to me. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, most Americans, I don't know about England or other countries, but most countries do celebrate a Christmas oriented holiday and Santa Claus, and that's where they have all the red and the green, and just like the other gentleman there with the T-shirt with the red cap and all that stuff. And of course, Susan has the red cap. So I know that they celebrate it a little differently in other countries, but it's slightly similar in the fact that the colors are almost the same and all that. So it is good that the Grinch wasn't promoting commercialism. Neither was Charlie Brown, even though they had tons of food. So I want to know how they did that. But
They grew it themselves. Of course,
sure they did.
They grew it themselves, of course.
That's the other irony too, that they were actually talking about that today on the internet on YouTube, is the fact that a lot of 60s shows did have a lot of commercialism, raffles and sweepstakes and all that. And we have the benefit now that it's 2018, not 1968. We don't get to see that except on YouTube, maybe. That they had, contests and they had sweepstakes and all that. And nowadays, it's not as big. And I think that's because most people have a cell phone. So there's really no need to advertise it on TV unless it's a movie or something like that. They really don't do it. They know most people are on the computer. And to be honest, I don't like the commercials nowadays anyway. But I do enjoy the Christmas specials. And like I said, you have Rudolph and Frosty and all the other ones, but that's not the one we're talking about here. So, yes, I do like Dr. Seuss. Yes, I do like the Grinch. Yes, I do like the Sleep Book from Dr. Seuss. And he was a local in Massachusetts, and he has a museum after him as well. But like I said, I saw it the old-fashioned way. I saw it with the book and the record playing the music in the background. So a little bit like the Viewmaster in a way, those little film circles that you put in the machine, you hold it up to your eye and you click, click, click. And this was also the days when JCPenney was actually big, and they didn't declare bankruptcy back then because they were making money. But like I said, the 60s to the 90s, before all this internet, smartphone, tablet stuff.
Good old Alex there. Yeah, I just can't believe we're getting towards Christmas. Anyway, that's just me. Stephen Price, any favourite moments or bad moments?
Yes, with the where he punched the went under the fireplace and punched the wood on the tree. I did like that. I like the part of the children playing the games. I really enjoyed that, and the part where he came down the hill and Christmas is back and giving the turkey and all this and that, cutting out the turkey, and that was good.
Yeah, it is for a little film like that. It just does the trick. it gets you in the mood for
Remember,
Christmas.
remember my nephew when he was about 3 or 4. He was just glued to the screen watching it, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because when you're young, it's a cartoon. But
Yeah.
it's so colourful as well. You know, music it enthralls you for 25 minutes or so. It just directs you in.
Because can you remember the old cable?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, he was my nephew was nagging me, "Oh, can you put a cartoon on?" You know, to put one on, but it was occasionally you pick up a German channel. So this one was in German, like, see, and about 15 minutes.
You see,
About 15 minutes into it, he says, turned around, he said, "They speak in Welsh." No, they speak in German.
you don't need. You don't need to understand languages when you're watching like a cartoon. The pictures speak for themselves. You don't
Yeah.
really need to listen to the
No.
no. So
Yeah,
for when you're young, you just watch.
he was enjoying it anyway, and it twigged in him, and it was in Welsh.
Oh, brilliant story. So, well, we've talked how the Grinch stole Christmas. I think the final says and scores on this. Well, while you're on mics there, Stephen, what's your final say and score?
For kids, they love it. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10.
So, do they play it in England? Do they play Charlie Brown Christmas and Grinch Stole Christmas and all that?
Yes, they do. They do. They're on certain channels every year.
Do they play it in Wales?
Do they play it in Wales?
They don't even have TV in Wales.
No,
I don't watch TV, so
There you go.
So, and of course, and the BBC has its own Christmas specials. But I mean, is it regular for?
I go out Strictly Come Dancing. That's on the Christmas special.
I'll tell you something. It's been touched on. You have touched on this. The TV Christmas specials of today are utter rubbish. You go back. I don't know, 30, 40 years or so, even more than 40 years. They went out their way to make something special for tea over the Christmas period. And it was magical. Whatever program it was magical. If it was a variety show, if it was comedy, or even animation, they went out the way to make something special for that Christmas, for the festive season. These days, it's nothing to write home about, to be honest.
Yeah, well, but the BBC does have its own Christmas specials and things like that. Whereas here in Massachusetts, most of it is either a parade, where it's a lot closer than Macy's, or it's a tree lighting ceremony in Boston. And I was very upset because the songs were very modern. Yep. And it's like, I mean, they're talking about smartwatches. This is not a Christmas song. And then of course
there hasn't been. Yeah.
And then if you go to a mini mall or a mall, then they will be playing like a Shania Twain version of a Christmas song, or Mariah Carey's Christmas songs, which are terrible. They're not good though. Yeah, so you have a lot of commercialism, even more so than the '60s. So yeah, it's definitely not the same. It's definitely not as interesting or sweet or different where you go, oh, did you see this? Because everybody knows what the Grinch Christmas special is. Everybody knows what the Charlie Brown Christmas special is. Everybody knows Rudolph and Frosty. They know that. So the minute you say it, especially if you're over 30, everybody knows what that is. But you say it now and you're like, nah. Unless it was for the president, they don't care. They go, well, we'll watch Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and that's pretty
And then
much
they'll
it.
watch football.
Yeah, they'll watch football. Yeah.
American
Well,
football, not the real global football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, you mean fake football? Anyway,
Fake. Well, the money isn't fake. I'll tell you that.
no, yeah, well, it's never fake over here on our football.
No, theirs is
Yeah,
richer.
I agree. I do agree with what Alex has said. I mean, there hasn't been any good Christmas songs for years and years. I mean, bring back Dean Martin and Bing Crosby and all like that.
And
But
another thing I'd like to point out is that it never snows in Wales. It only
Oh,
rains.
poor guy.
It rains every Christmas, guaranteed. Every Christmas day it rains. The lad, the only
Poor
time,
Stephen.
the only time it snowed was in 1963. I can remember going on a sledge in the park when I was young, and it snowed really deep that year.
and he got a jar and he scooped some snow up and he's kept it in the jar all these years. Actually, it's still water now, but it was snow at the time. Let's. I'm losing it. Let's go to. Oh yeah, Susan and Alex for the final say and score on this. Then.
Of course, because of the heart disease that the Grinch received, and the mistreatment of Max, and the thievery of all of the Whoville things, I'll give it a 10. 10 Christmas tree ornaments out of 10. Here's Alex.
Well, I will give it a 9 because, like I said, there's almost nothing to the. We've already mentioned the 4 other competitors, and basically, it's the same. It's Frosty, Rudolph, Charlie Brown, and the Grinch, and those are basically the men. Yeah, pretty much. Because the other issue is that except for a few series from the 70s and the 90s, nothing has compared, and everything else has been really bad musical specials. It's not even like Bob Hope or what wasn't that the one? What was it? Wasn't it David Bowie and Mick Jagger singing Little Drummer Boy or something?
Oh my gosh.
Wasn't that the but that was the
That,
70s though.
That was David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to mix my Dancing in the Streets with the Little Drummer Boy.
We're dancing in the street now as we're live in.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but that was easy there.
It's okay.
It was Don't hit my nose.
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the last few good songs that you saw on TV, and it was also interesting how they did it. It wasn't as loud as Dancing in the Streets. Like I said, the 70s and the 90s were like the last really good possibilities of a good holiday special, and it's kind of sad that everything is so digitized and modern now that you can't even. I mean, sometimes I'll even say to my parents, wow, I didn't realize that I was going to miss you guys playing records of Mahalia Jackson or Ray Charles or other people, singing really good versions of Christmas songs, because they really went all out. I mean, it was a orchestra, it was big, it was strong, it was good stuff. And now it's too modern now.
Right. Let's see. You gave it 9. Steve gave it 9. You gave it 10. Just because Karloff was in it as well, because Karloff is a horror icon of mine. I'm giving it a 10 as well. It's just a fun little thing to watch every Christmas. Yeah, Karloff has just edged it for me. So, on that note, I would like to thank you guys here for talking all things Grinch and Christmas, and well, everything Christmas really. Um, Please, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Tell us about your Christmas TV memories. What brings back good memories for you on the TV? Um, we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We've got a group. We've got a page. Just pop over there and have a look, see what we're up to. And if you want to be part of these little gatherings, because we need some new faces, some fresh blood to keep things fresh, it's going. If you'd like to join into these casts, by all means, just get in touch with any of us, and we'll try and sort you out. So, on that note, I would like to say Happy Christmas to you all, because we're getting there soon. It's nearly there. I hope you've all done your shopping by now. So, written your cards out.
Ting, 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 ting. Jingle, 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 jingle.
Oh my God. Yes. Until shall I just leave you in the? I'll leave you in the capable hands of Susie. Shall I?
Da-do, 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 do, 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 da-do, 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 do, 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 do.